an area that I know you've hit on hard is negligent security.
Yep.
How did you become this expert in negligent security? And obviously, I know you have had friends that are clients and so forth. Talk about that, and then seeing some of these friends that have gone through some of these things, obviously,
Yeah.
or because some
No.
of them have
No.
passed away, correct? Some of them have passed
Sure.
away.
Sure. So good question. Um, so I had never, growing up where I grew up, I didn't even know that if you're shot or killed on someone's property due to that property owner being negligent and not having adequate security, like if you're in some project and there's a bunch of shootings that happen there, or if you're at the club and they fail to pat someone down and that person enters with a gun and kills someone, I didn't know there was a civil recourse. Obviously, I know people could go to jail, but I certainly didn't know that there was a lot of claims that were not pursued just based out of ignorance. So when I was working at Kelly Ustall, I started hearing about a lot of these cases. Someone shot and killed at an apartment complex, or at a club, or at a bar, at a strip club, or at a video shoot. And it was in I want to say 2018. It was a Father's Day in 2018 when my friend, I want to say it was either 2018 or 2019. I'm mixing up the years, but it was certainly Father's Day. And my childhood friend, we call him JD. His name is Jeffrey Brown, but he went by JD, D as in Delta. He was shot and killed on Father's Day after spending the day out with his kids on the Fort Lauderdale beach. He was shot right outside of his own apartment at the Circle One apartment in Lauderhill. It's a war zone over there. Several murders, shootings, assaults, burglaries, drug dealing just happened. It's like the epicenter for crime, in the epicenter for different murders in all of Broward County. And his family came to me, and they're grieving. And I had never taken on a negligent security case before. So what I did was I certainly signed the case up, and I taught myself negligent security. I reached out to another lawyer who had done negligent security before, and I had gotten a sample lawsuit. I reached out and I looked on the docket for different lawyers who did different cases, and I pulled transcripts from depositions. I pulled discovery. I pulled motions, responses to motions for summary judgment. I taught myself the ins and out of negligent security. Because that was my first case, a lot of people get comfortable after they do a lot of cases, and with that comfort, sometimes they get a little lazy, right? And they don't do a lot of the internal digging and the searching for the truth. But that was my first case, so I felt like I had to do everything. So instead of sending an investigator to the crime scene, I went myself. I interviewed people, neighbors. I looked and I saw that where decoy cameras were positioned. I went there and I saw that the fence was broken, and where there should be a fence, an entry fence with a guard gate that goes up and down. I think this is broken. I realized there was an abandoned guardhouse that was just closed. It had like trash in there, and I worked on this case day and night for about a year and a half, and we ultimately settled for a $2 million policy, the policy limit against two different defendants. And it's life changing money for his kids.
Yeah.
It's protected, it's secured. They have this structured settlement that's going to pay out when they become adults. But that's the case that I am probably the most proud of, because that family trusted me. Right, this is a childhood friend of mine. They come to the lawyer from the neighborhood. They trust me with it, and ever since then, I've been working on dozens and dozens of negligent security cases since then. That was the first one. We hit it out the gate, but it was a really successful story, and I'm glad that we were able to bring some level of comfort to his family.
When you look at cases like that now, because now you've done a number of them, when you look at that now, and let's say you see it at a shopping plaza or an apartment complex or what have you, and you see these, maybe you have an investigator go out, and I don't know, I'm sure you still go out at some.
I still go out as well.
Yeah. But when you see some of these things at these complexes where it's known for drug dealing, known for crime, known for everything that can possibly happen, and you see There's no security guard. There's no cameras. Their lighting is bad. When you see this, are you sitting here saying, what are these people thinking about?
Yeah, all the time, all the time. And let me tell you something that's going to even shock you and blow your mind. What the thing that trips me up is that even after they're hit with these big, lawsuits and they pay out, you would think that they would make some type of change, and they don't. Oftentimes, they don't.
Wow.
I just resolved another case against this same complex recently. I can't go into the case details, but a 7-figure result for another shooting that happened over there.
But the same place?
Same place. Yeah. That happened maybe 3 years later. So no changes. That guard gate is still gone. The cameras are still non-existent. The guardhouse is still abandoned. No security guard there. It's ridiculous. So it's unfortunate, but something's got to give. You would think when they're hit with these, and have to make these payouts, and their insurance company pays this money, then they have a higher premium, that perhaps they'll do something. But I realize that a lot of these places that are just run down, they're comprised of a board oftentimes for people who don't even live in the community. They're just investors, right? They go into these poor neighborhoods. They get on the board. They have board meetings on Zoom. They never step foot on the property, and they rent out these properties to other people. And sure, okay, we have to pay a little bit extra in insurance. That's fine. Are we going to implement substantial change? Not at all. It's unfortunate, but I'm just glad that we were able to get, some type of financial compensation for the family.
Would you say that a lot of these complexes that you just mentioned, like that are where people, apartment complexes, would you say that these are heavy Section 8 properties where they're guaranteed their money? So they know they're going to get paid hand over fist, and it's almost like that the car manufacturer has a defect. Well, what costs more, fixing the defect on all the cars, recalling them, or
exactly
letting someone burn to death?
Exactly. You must have read the memorandum from Bob Kelly.
No, I didn't.
Okay, because that's literally the formula of how they looked at in the book. That's what his book is about.
That was the book he wrote, right? That was the book.
That was the book he wrote. The case against General Motors. But no, I think you hit it spot on. I think you're spot on. I think they just look at it as, okay, what will cost more, right? Yeah. We sure we'll pay a higher premium on insurance, or should we actually hire security guards that are going to cost money? Implement some type of real security apparatus. Hire some security consultant to do a vulnerability assessment of the property, or install cameras, or just pay extra in insurance. And I think they choose the latter, and it's unfortunate.